India's drive to embrace new technologies is not new. We have not. The shift from BS4 to BS6 is a classic example. It was a great effort by the suppliers, the OEMs, the testing agencies, etc. We leapfrog in just 3 years, while developed market took 5 to 6 years to make the same transition. ADAS, however, is a different story. Unlike BS6, which was largely confined to what happens within the vehicle, ADAS depends on many external factors that lie beyond the control of vehicle manufacturers. Road design, signage, lane discipline, traffic behavior, and infrastructure readiness all play a very important role. Among many, the key reasons include India's unpredictable traffic, irresponsible overtaking, weak lane markings, and varied road. India's drive to embrace new technologies is not new. We have not.
Also looking, we have bullish people, we have cowboys move around, sheep following the curve, camels, basically and impossible, and active camels. All these factors in the road, in the road. And that's when we begin out. There is a surprise thing. Our vehicles sometimes have a swing to deep water, proving that ambiguous driving is not often necessary skill, despite possessing physical software misuse.
Yeah, let me ask. Yes, I would like to start with Mr.
When it comes to the passenger cars, they are producing around 4.4 million cars, and when it comes to the SCVs vehicle, they are coming closer to 500. And if you have to see the accelerator also in the previous sessions also we got that commercial vehicle is something which is created not a road accident the cooler of the biggest currently happening strongly to this. 40% currently strongly to 2 years. So I really ask should not have we should not focus only on political we should focus on sustainability. At the same time, we should have because if we are not focusing on all these investment funds, then I think the reality of saving is and take not taking our orders to actually
it's a good one. ADAS is probably up to 2 years or so in our areas. So let me come to Mr. Damle, because you are representing the area one. There is a lot of area also we have the other ecosystem like software companies and etc. So from your point, what is the roadmap for the level 1 2 features in India? Good afternoon, everyone. So, let me start. The roadmap that India remains targeting towards is not much to work towards safety and trust. So, I think safety and trust are the key pillars of the new strategy, which is different from the government agencies that are acting at the European. This is important because we are, let's say, late is the complex area. But when it comes to this, very interesting and looking at data, those some of the specification of large regulation. Level 2 seems to be the dominant level in level 2, as we know, is this combination of a scale as well as many parts. And I was asking myself, what would be the reason? And let's say some cars, let's say probably users, when they buy cars, they keep these values of, let's say, pretty much early stage of their ownership. And I think it pursues a very high. That's why it has weighted premiumization. What safety agnostic products are oriented towards it. And this is definitely not used in India. And I think that's why many of the companies probably and because we have data also the data also is insane. Nevertheless, a very important point of view also for India is the operational domain, where the OEMs are cautiously what the system works for and where it does where it doesn't work. And let's say it is very important that is not admittedly inside but it's very important to exercise the bodies. And this is the foundation of trust. And once the end users are certainly and I was evaluating it takes a lot of these really but when you start using the system, you start using it and the adoption start creating.
I would like to get to look to automobiles on your thoughts on that.
I think we are very aptly started the discussion by giving the way of animal legal. It is really challenging for the entire Indian traffic scenario with conditions. But I strongly believe that ADAS is the Indian solution. It is not only the European, but also we need to adapt the Indian conditions, Indian practices, as well as Indian requirement of a driver into the ADAS system. That's going to be a challenge for all the technical team who is developing the ADAS system. But ADAS is going to be the solution. It is for the mass market. How we are going to really adapt the systems, how we want to put the indigenization or indigenized scope into that is going to be the crucial factor. We as a OEM have a strong belief in that, and definitely with collaboration we need to move ahead on that.
Let me come to Srinivas who will present the expenses delivery.
It's very difficult to generalize it. I think it's also geographically dependent. Why I say that is for a market like India, where it is unregulated market, the customer awareness has just started increasing. Maybe less of safety and lot of coolness and luxury with respect to Indian consumers. But if I take a market like Europe, where it is already very regulated and ADAS has been there for such a long time, I would say it will oscillate between four states. One is safety. Definitely, people want to use it because they are aware of the system, they use the system, they trust the system. So that's why the safety is a major aspect. And comfort as well. Some of the features like adaptive cruise control, the traffic jam assist, it solves a big pain point that each one of us as drivers go through. So in that regards, I think that's also a state largely they will answer. Luxury, definitely yes. In India at least, ADAS is a premium variant package. At least that's the trend so far, at least as on today I speak. Also, some of the advanced features like N3 or N2++ is always given to the premium variant, the top end variant. And that would also come with some of these complex sensors like LiDAR, more cameras, more radars, so which is also makes you feel luxurious. But having said all of these things, I think one thing what we should be definitely sure is that ADAS at its core is a safety technology. The luxury or the comfort is evolved byproduct, is what I mean. It's a byproduct, it's byproduct. One last state which we don't speak in ADAS marketing event, but I think it's the practicality is also the irritation state. Because when you are using your ADAS system and the system for whatsoever reason intervenes in an unintended manner, and you're in a traffic situation, you get this continuous warnings and false brakings, that can also irritate the customers. think largely safety, but then, yeah, that is very
Safety is the base effect. Nice. So let me come to Pruthvi from AUMOVIO. They also get from the India. It's easy to import products, but the challenge is when you go to mass adoption, you need to localize. What are the challenges you see in localization of products?
Thank you for the question. So, localization when it comes to ADAS, one is the product itself, and the second one is technology. So, India is selling 80% of the customers in India in the lack of development, which really means that we cannot bring an architecture from the US and scale it down from India. It will not start from blanks. It has to be reimagined for India and India. And also, you also have to look into the sensitivity of the price segment of this vehicle. So, adding a safety feature into the market and vehicle cost drastically would mean people will start moving towards affordability. Instead, we saw from the cost of the vehicles increasing every year. This is my localization basically. One is the price point. Your system has to be below the vehicle, and especially now in terms of technology. So today, mostly about radar and camera. We have to slowly transition camera only technology. That means our camera perspective has to do the regular. Of course, radar it's not camera versus radar. It's a question of what is the best.
Thank you.
So the question is not whether it's camera versus radar. So it's the question is what can you bring to the market with as little cost as possible, balancing the user experience and bringing a meaningful safety benefit to the consumer. Yeah. So the consumer always is the center of all of us. We need to take care of how they try, how they do. So obviously with future technology we have redundancy, and I'm not against it. But with vision transformer models and monocolored depth estimation, so the accuracy of say of a radar estimation becomes a little bit let's say less prioritized compared to the depth estimation and the scene generation that we do from the cameras. So the gap of camera perception taking over the radar is slowing down. So this is how we can bring localization in multiple aspects. One, of course, I will not talk about manufacturing in India, so that is a given. If you do it in India, then you are going to make it cheaper, so there's no doubt about it. And we have the competence. So technologically is where we are. So the winner